if he knew if he was supposed to come.
I told him that.
Did you tell him?
I told you too. Yeah, he's coming. With the two of you should be a good combination.
Absolutely.
And Justin Grant is here. After having lost his 2 wins.
He did lose those, didn't he?
Hey guys, hot spot on these babies is right in the top, so talk right to the top.
Check.
See, if it was an
I know.
it would be called encumbered.
She's still mixing drinks. I just realized I didn't hear your test.
Yeah, I can see it here.
Are the cameras on?
We're all hooked up. You're good here.
And is it streaming?
It is now. Yeah. So you're gonna get a couple seconds dead.
Hello? Hello?
It's got their sound on.
I know.
Larry stays busy, doesn't he, man? Staying with that series and all that stuff. And
He's probably got about as much as he wants on both ends. The series and
Aye.
so he can travel. He was a good fit. I don't know if he told you, but I was Larry.
All of a sudden everybody wants some. Oh, jeez.
That was a good fit too.
yeah.
He's passing.
For those of you watching, if you are watching, we're waiting for the in-house audio to come up so that people in here can hear us. So stand by, we'll be with you in a minute or so, I hope. Our sound lady is busy at the moment. So stick with us.
40 easier to work with than the other.
None of them are scared. The way they come and go. Usually with a bad president or 1 or 2 bad guys on the board. I mean, they about have to be. You know, they got a position where they'll make a lot of money, so it's like, it's got to be this way, guys. Yeah, it's it. We're all this for the same reason. There's no use in gouging bitches, growing. This is the way it is. That's pretty much what I tell them.
They've done a good job at the state fairgrounds here with renovating with the facilities and stuff. They haven't worked so much on the racetrack, I guess, but
We only give them 1 race a year. It's hard to make it.
Check.
You get rained out once, it takes 3 years to get back.
Check.
Things can come back a lot the last couple of years.
Check. There we go. Can you just
3-3. There we go. Cool. I'll cool it down a little bit.
All right. Sorry for the slight delay, but we are here. This is the Autosportradio.com 2018 show presented by Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the Verizon IndyCar Series, and SVRA. A couple things to mention for you IndyCar fans. The first race is Sunday from St. Petersburg, Florida, and I'm going down. It will be televised at 12:30 Eastern Time on ABC, so you want to check it out. Plus, you want to watch the practice and qualifying, you can go to racecontrol.indycar.com and you'll see it live. So check it out, the first race of the year. Can't wait to see it, Dennis. Well, I'll make something that you will love to see, the Dennis. The Indy Dental Group. Dr. Jack Miller and Dr. Liz Lewis have a phenomenal practice. To get an appointment, give them a call at 317-846-3125. And I also want to give a belated birthday greeting to my old friend. His birthday was in January, and he turned 80. Glenn Timmis had his 80th birthday in January. Yeah, applaud for him. He's still walking. That's pretty good. Also want to wish happy 80th to Mike Smith, who had his kids gave him a birthday party on Saturday, but his birthday is actually this coming Saturday. Connor Daly announced today that he is going to be in a 4th car for Dale Coyne Racing, sponsored by the United States Air Force. And Byrne Racing Team. So it's exciting. Next week, my first guest is the driver analyst on the AMS Radio Network, Mr. Anders Krohn. The Viking will be here. Davey will not be in the booth much at all this year because he's going to be the strategist and driver coach for Charlie Kimball. So Anders is stepping up, and I think he's done a great job. Got a problem with your computer? Do what I always do, which is almost on a weekly basis. Call Jack at Computer Overdrive. His number is 317-328-0766. And if you're interested in drones, go to the back half of the shop, and Mark can tell you all about that. And if you don't know everything that's going on in IndyCar, shame on you. Go to tracksideonline.com and subscribe to it. You'll find out everything that's going on. And you'll also get the Mazda Road to Indy information, so check it out, tracksideonline.com. And don't forget what I reminded you of last week. Every Monday and Saturday, entertainment, live entertainment here at McGilvery, so come on by. My first two guests are two gentlemen that I actually, this time I didn't have to chase them. Gentleman sitting next to me is a promoter of some 80 races a year. Other than that, he hasn't got much going on. Among others, things that he promotes is the Hoosier 100 down at the Terre Haute Action Track. He does ARCA races. He does anything that's got four wheels and it's available to do, he does it. He does USAC. He's in DeCoin. He's at Springfield Fairgrounds, Lucas Oil Raceway, Elko Speedway, Fairground Speedway in Nashville, and, of course, the Hoosier 100. Please welcome Mr. Bob Sargent. Sitting next to him is a little guy. He played guard for the Colts for a couple years. His resume includes 25 years in motorsports promotion, and he worked for a guy that I'm sure most everybody has heard of. His name is O. Bruton Smith, and he was very much involved in many races, and he was the executive vice president, general manager of New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Why in the world you left there is beyond me, because there's a great seafood restaurant right nearby.
Yeah, but look at the weather report tonight there.
Okay, well, that's another good reason. He has leased Gas City, and I got to find out what's going to be going on with that. So we're going to welcome him. Please welcome Mr. Jerry Gappens.
Thank you.
She's all giggly and clapping, and she doesn't know why.
Stephanie used to be the pit announcer there at Gas City Speedway.
She said she's too old, can't do it anymore.
I know, that's what. Well, she's a married woman now, you know.
Oh,
she's slowing down.
Yeah, just check the look on Bill's face. He said, "Oh yeah, I did do it, didn't I?"
I will say I want to call out Bill Throckmorton, who's here, married obviously to Stephanie. I went with the Midwest Old Timers Vintage Auto Racing Club Saturday, and Bill put together a great event at Grant King's old race shop, and he's been a great curator and of that facility, and he restored it to what it was like when Grant King and his team.
No, it wasn't.
Well, it's a lot cleaner.
Oh, a lot cleaner.
Yeah, it's a lot cleaner than. But when Grant was there, nobody could get in because he was always top secret and doing things he maybe shouldn't be doing. But
not great. Come on.
But what a great. You think I'd love to bring some of those engineers from IndyCar today and NASCAR and bring them to that shop and show how you build an IndyCar just with a flat piece of metal and bring it to life. But that was really well done, and Bill Simpson and the whole club there. We had a great time, and it's right next to A.J. Watson's place, which is unfortunately not in the same path that Grant King's facility is. It's decaying, but thanks to Bill and a lot of people, I'm sure it was awesome to stay. Those people, I didn't think they were going to go home.
Neither did Bill.
Yeah.
Bob.
Yes, sir.
Race promoter. What? Did you ever drive?
No.
You're too big to get in a damn car, I'm sure.
At one time I was, yes.
I didn't mean this way, I meant this way. What got you into promoting racing?
Just purely business. You know, I was attracted to the competition and the excitement of trying to present a good show, fill the grandstands, make a good racing surface that would produce good racing.
Are all of your tracks, do you run primarily on dirt?
Primarily dirt. 3 of them are asphalt: Nashville, Lucas Oil Raceway, and Elko.
Now, you are a co-owner of a track in Macon, Illinois.
We do. We have a 5th mile track that was built in 1946. High banked, short 5th mile track, fun racing. Can race midgets really good, obviously, but also full body late model stock cars, Lucas Oil Series races there. But yeah, we've had that since 1985. Again, it was born in 46 or started in 46, so only 2 owners. And then we brought on the NASCAR partners here about 10 years ago, and I've just keep going. Good success there.
You promote ARCA as well.
We do. We have 6 of the 20 ARCA races that we do, so we're proud of that. With those pavement races, we do the 2 dirt miles, the only 2 dirt tracks that ARCA races in Springfield and DuQuoin, and it's a sight to see those big, heavy stock cars on dirt.
You also promote Springfield and DuQuoin with the Silver Crown cars.
We do. Years ago, I feel so privileged to be able to do Springfield, DuQuoin, Indy, Terre Haute, all this history here with these tracks, these events, all the great drivers that race there, and again, so much history. So we're proud to be able to do the Silver Crown on the miles, and looking forward to 18 with all these cars that have came out of the garages. And the end of last year, we showed so much increase in car counts, and the talent that the USAC drivers have shows. So we're looking forward to good full fields. It's
amazing when Andy Hillenberg came on board. He talked to a lot of owners to take their Silver Crown cars, dust them off and run them, and the car count started climbing. And I don't think it declined since he left. It's on its way up again.
It is. Like I said, we're fortunate that Andy got on board there for a couple years and just helped it tremendously. Phone call after phone call and effort, and got the guys back out, the car owners. We've got such a young and veterans also, but such a diverse group of talented drivers in USAC, and now they can show that talent on the miles, and we've got some owners that enjoy doing it.
Have the purses grown a lot over the last 5 years?
Purses probably have not grown a lot. We're still in a rebuilding process, both from the grandstand side all the way down to the cars, and USAC kind of has a drivers meeting once a year and works on that, and we just write one check.
Oh, really? Good for you.
We don't even see how the purse is distributed, so we do that with ARCA and USAC both, so I don't really get involved in that.
The best guy that I ever saw in my time in ARCA was Frank Kimmel. He was dynamite on there, and I forget the guy that lost his life.
Dean Roper.
No. I can't remember his name. I drove for Hooters.
Alan Kowicki?
No. Yeah, Alan Kowicki. Great. To me, those were the 2 best drivers that ARCA's had in a long time.
Yeah, ARCA's a real good series. This day and age of the money involved in the sport and NASCAR and what have you, but it's a good feeder series, and we see a lot of drivers, whether it's Natalie Decker's the new female driver that did good in Daytona, to a lot of different drivers that come through ARCA and move on up into NASCAR.
I never figured out why until Jimmy Spencer got hurt that Frank never got into NASCAR. And when Jimmy was out of the car, he put him in his car. I never could figure out why he didn't move up.
I can't answer that. They were a good family team for years and years and years, he and his brother, and he probably made a good living in ARCA, and that's where he stayed.
I bet he did. I went down to watch his brother race in Louisville one night, and he got in a fight. I thought, geez, what's with this? And he told me going out, he said, this guy and I don't get along. And naturally, they were at the lead, as he said would happen, and oh, geez, that was fun. And I said, why don't you get out of the car and go help your brother? I don't want to travel. Oh, yeah? That didn't last long. You traveled with him for a long time. It was fun. Jerry, you worked for one of the biggest names in racetrack ownership and promotion, Bruton Smith. What made you decide to leave the comfort and come and become a promoter at least Gas City?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I worked with Speedway Motorsports and with Bruton, and Humpy Wheeler was a mentor as well there when he was running Charlotte all those years. And I'm originally from Indiana. I grew up in the Kokomo area, went to Ball State University, and at the end of 2015, Bruton was kind of stepping away from the company. His son Mark was taking over, and it was kind of a new era coming through there. And so just ended up making a change there. Went out on my own with some marketing and PR, and in the opportunity for Gas City, I actually come up from Charlotte to go to the Kings Royal and the NASCAR truck race last summer. And when I was driving back to visit my mom in Kokomo, I stopped at the track, and I hadn't seen it in like 30 years, and I was like, oh, I knew they'd only been running a couple races a year, and the facility looked a lot nicer than I remembered 30 years ago. And I didn't think a lot about it, but then I started investigating, tracked down the owner, Jack Heimlich, and did a lot of due diligence, and and soul searching with it, and actually prayed about it and everything else. And now, at late January, made a decision to move here and make a go of it. But I really, if you look, NASCAR is certainly struggling with putting butts in the seats. We're seeing that. Car counts are low. Bob talked about that. That's been a challenge in motorsports. But when I was in the Kings Royal race, they had almost 20,000 people there. And a few nights later, they had the Truck Series. And I never thought I'd ever see, and I'm a sprint car guy, I never thought I'd ever see a day when a sprint car race would outdraw a major NASCAR touring series, one of the top three, and they did it. I mean, and so I think grassroots racing and short track racing, and especially here in Indiana with non-wing sprint car racing and wing sprint car racing, I think there's still a niche and there's a passion for those fans that have become disenchanted with what's going on in big league motorsports, and I think they hang their hat on the short tracks. And there are 800 short tracks around the country, and I think that people can get going back to your roots, so to speak. Really, Don.
Have you had now you've got a 17 race schedule you just came out with.
Right.
Have you had a problem with calling up very serious and say, how'd you like to come back here? Has that been a difficult? They say, sure.
No, actually, people reached out. We got started. One disadvantage, we got started late in a lot of schedules, especially with USAC. The schedules were set, and we were able to try to work some things. But the plus side was I saw where the major events were, and I was hoping to sidestep any landmines that might affect attendance or car count at our track. And I think we accomplished that. We're taking a few nights off here and there, but I still wanted to have a full schedule racing, and we're going to do the Friday nights. We're going to open. It's a grand reopening. We're going to do it on April 20th, and I feel good about the schedule. There's a good diversity there. We're going to have 12 divisions of cars that will come through there during the course of the year. We'll rotate some of the divisions so everybody gets an opportunity to race. Non-wing sprint cars are going to be the anchor. We're going to have the largest weekly purse for non-wing sprint cars here in Indiana, and it's not by much. It's a few bucks, but I can still brag about it. So that's why you do those things. If it's worth $40 to say I'm the largest. So I learned that from Bruton and Humpy. Those guys, you talked about that. Humpy was known as the P.T. Barnum of promotions. Bruton was a genius. Of course, just got elected into the NASCAR Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. And I took something to heart in growing up in that environment from a professional standpoint. Humpy used to like to tell us, we're in the entertainment business. I'm not smart enough to figure out a cure for cancer or how to balance the budget or deal with the guy in North Korea or any of those things. But you need to offer an opportunity for people in life to come and just put, most of us live in a black and white world, and what we try to do is just put a little Technicolor in it. And you think about the colors of the race cars and the fans and the flags, and just escape. You're not worrying about the mortgage on Friday night. You're not worried about college tuition. You're coming for 3 or 4 hours to a motorsports event and an entertainment event to forget about all that and cheer a local driver on or try to just enjoy yourself. And that's one of the things I took away from my experience there with Bruton and Humpy, that we're an entertainment business, and that's what you're going to see at Gas City. I mean, we're going to work hard to put a good product on the track, and I think that'll take care of itself. But we're going to be real interactive with the fans, with giveaways. We're going to do some crazy stuff with bubble ball competition, throw the helmet, kids coin scrambles, music theme nights. So we want people to walk away and say that was really fun.
Listen, I'm available if you need a singer.
Are you?
No. 3 people just got. In fact, she just got left already. She heard that, she left.
Well, I might need an announcer though. You were like Paul Harvey there with your commercials that you started this thing out. You kind of told me the rest of the story. Well, he just reads them, and all of a sudden you've been commercialized. You didn't even know it.
I want to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Bob, your organization. Now I'm looking at your 12 venues, 100+ events that you do through a year, but your weekly tracks are Lincoln, Illinois. I didn't realize there was a track in Lincoln, Illinois. As a matter of fact, I don't know where Lincoln, Illinois is, and I'm from Illinois. Where the hell is it?
It's a Logan County Fairgrounds, just directly off 121. Be west of Decatur, south Springfield a little bit, right in that area.
Then, of course, your track in Macon. You're at Terre Haute. You're at Paducah. I didn't realize you went to Paducah either.
We own Paducah. Ken Schrader, Tony Stewart, I own Paducah, and we've actually have it leased out now. So we keep it on there, and we help.
Are you still promoting?
We do help him, yes, and we'll promote some there, yes.
Oh, I see. You run 25 weekly night shows, 8 at Terre Haute, 25+ at your track, and 12 special events at Lincoln. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, that's the weekly schedule, and it is exactly what Jerry said. You know, it's an entertainment for the local people to come out and enjoy themselves, get away from work and any of the stress at home, and we treat it like that. And then the larger events are a little bit different, and then the special events that we do at bigger facilities are just a little bit different yet.
Yeah, you got ARCA, CRA, and SSS late models, USAC Silver Crown and Hoosier 100, Silver Crown on Carb Night at the Lucas Oil Raceway, ARCA race at Gateway, your Elko with ARCA, Silver Crown again and ARCA at wherever the heck it is. I can't read it. This one, where's that?
That's Illinois State Fair and then DuQuoin State Fair.
DuQuoin, yeah. And you've been there for quite a number of years.
Yeah.
Have you ever jumped in the lake or not? The pond?
DuQuoin? No, I leave that for the winning driver. He can have all that glory. I've been, I think, promoting the Illinois and DuQuoin for just about 25 years now.
Wow.
I know a lot of people from here go down there. I know a lot of guys that, oh boy, we got to go to DuQuoin. I mean, they get rid of their wife or girlfriend.
Well, what's happened at DuQuoin is they have a great set of lights, and we've made the Silver Crown race a night race. So if you haven't seen those cars under big bright lights at the big oval 1 mile at DuQuoin with the water in the infield and all the history there, it's a sight to behold.
If a guy's car breaks, can he go and fish?
He could go out and fish, yes.
How difficult is it to promote? I mean, do you have to create events for people to not only come and watch the race, but give them something to do in between and so forth? I mean, do you bring entertainment in? Do you play kickball or tennis or anything?
Well, again, every one of my events are a little bit different, from the weekly quarter-mile track on Saturday nights to the bigger race at the fairgrounds here or Terre Haute. But we do different things. You know, most of our action is really relegated to on the track and these drivers. We did an autograph session at Terre Haute, the last race last year, 2 hours before the race, and that seemed to go over very well. So it's really centered towards these drivers and the talents that they have for the larger events, and then the weekly shows we can do the kickball and the clowns and things like that. But these larger events, whether it be the Hoosier 100 or some of these events at Terre Haute, we really focus hard on the product on the racetrack. These Silver Crown cars are again, such history there, and the cars and the beauty of them on the mile and the half mile, and then the drivers that we have. So that's what we focus on.
You're teamed up with Tony Stewart. Now, Emmett uses him for the Chili Bowl to do the track. Does he do any of your track work at all?
He doesn't, but of course we all get his opinion from time to time.
Whether you ask for it or not.
Exactly.
Well, he does a pretty good job at Eldora. Do you have anything to do with Eldora?
I do not do anything at Eldora. Obviously, with as many as I have, I don't even have time to get over there and watch any of the events. But, you know, we're all the promoters, maybe Jerry, or, you know, we're all on the phone together quite often. Sure. So I think the fans would be surprised how much we all work together and share ideas and what works and what doesn't work.
Since Bob's been doing this since he was a young boy, and you're putting your program together, did you sit down with him? What weekend are you off that I can get, or where you're in Illinois I can run?
Thank goodness for the internet. You can pull it up pretty well. But I did spend some time with Bob down in Daytona a week or two ago. They have an annual promoters workshop where promoters from all around the country come in, and that really benefited somebody. Even though I have 25 years experience in motorsports promotion, like Bob said, his type of promotion is a little different than the weekly thing, just like I was. So I learned a lot from people like Tom Helfrich down in Hobstad. I've reached out, Reese O'Connor up at Kokomo. His family has done a good job up there, and Reese has been a big help because he was the last promoter in Gas City, so he told me some of the things that worked and didn't work. So, yeah, like Bob said, we network around. I think a lot of people think we're all rivals or enemies, but we're not. You got to try to coexist and build the sport together, I think.
Is Jiggs out giving you a hand? Because he was phenomenal.
Yeah, Jiggs is legendary. Jiggs and his wife Nona. I just met with him last Monday, and Nona had a folder with notes that were about as thick as this book here, and the things to do to get ready for the race, and clean up and doing this, and I met with him for a couple hours, and then Jiggs called that afternoon. He said, "Now, did you call that old flagman back yet?" You know, he was on me pretty hard to make sure I was following up with people. But Jiggs is in his mid-70s. Owner, Jack Heimlich is 83, so it needed some new blood to come in and do it. Jiggs is his brain's all still there with what to do, but physically he can't do the things. But I guess he was quite a character in his day. They said he might not start a fight, but he wasn't afraid to finish one.
That's true.
Now, I'm a better talker than Jigs. I would probably try to do the walk around. I can't. I'm too big to outrun anybody, and I really don't like fighting, so I try to talk my way out of fights.
Good idea. I've tried it all my life so far.
Yeah.
I've succeeded.
My only request on fighting is if they're going to do that, do it on the front straightaway where the fans can see it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's all I ask.
It was kind of funny at the Speedway back a number of years ago. Danica and Dan Weldon got in a discussion.
Yeah.
And she hit him with a cloth or something. The next day, Eddie Gossage had a billboard. Round 2 is here.
Yeah, no. I worked with Eddie for many years at Charlotte, and then when Bruton built Texas, he sent Eddie out there. Eddie's not afraid to do about anything to help sell a ticket. That's the culture we were brought up in there. I joked, looking at the schedule, I said, if I could find them, I'll race 2 cheetahs down the front straightaway. And I haven't found them yet, but
keep looking.
Yeah.
Keep looking. What is it for you? Is it the competition you like? You like the people involved, the teams? In my opinion, and it's mine, and I'm sure a lot of people agree, I think the greatest team sport is motorsports because everybody has to do their job or the guy in the wheel could get hurt. And what is it for you? What's the excitement you get out of it?
You know, I don't want to be vague, but it's true. Every piece of it is what I get out of it, and that's why when I talk to all the racer friends of mine, I think their competition level is working on their car and getting it set up right. And my competition is getting the facility set up right, the racing service set up right, and then the racing, they do that on their own. And then I can see when the fans leave, if the kids are smiling and waving their checkered flags, the 2 older gentlemen that walk out together that have been coming for 30 years think that's the best race they've ever seen. That's my enjoyment is when I hear that. That again, you hear it quite often. I try to is that was a great race. That was the best race I've ever seen. Or again, when you see the children up in the stands waving their flags and enjoying the colors of the cars, that's what I get out of it.
It seems to me, looking at your brochures, and I passed a bunch out, and if you want any more, there's more up here. You got a lot of sponsors.
And if anybody wants any more, just check our website or call us, and we'll send them out to you. We work hard on marketing and selling sponsors. I really think that's a key to make these facilities nicer and reinvest in the facilities. We have to have corporate help, and we spend a lot of time with that, yes.
Jerry, I mentioned to you that I had a couple of people that love short tracks, and they go to a lot of them. I mean, a lot. And I said, you go to Gas City? No. Why? We used to go, we don't go anymore. Why? People can come in at 8 o'clock in the morning and reserve their seat, and they got it. That's it. I said, I'll bet you the new guy isn't going to go for that one, but I don't know. I can't speak for you.
No, because I'm not up at 8 o'clock in the morning yet, so I wouldn't let him in yet. It's funny. I was eating at a restaurant in Kokomo a couple weeks ago after going to church with my mom, and these 2 older guys, they called me by name, and I didn't know who they were, but they said, Jerry, are you going to let us put our blankets on our seats? And I was like, well, if you want to, I don't see a problem with you putting a blanket on the seat, but we're going to open the gates at a certain time and then and do that, and then you can go up and do it. But I heard people from Florida would come up and put a blanket down or actually write their names on the boards for the whole season. So, but we're. Are
you going to allow the whole season? They've got that's it.
No. I mean, it'll be week to week. Yeah, you're not going to stay there the whole time. But you got to. I'll tell you got to balance a fine line there because you don't want to chase any fans away. Like when it really bothered me. I was hoping you'd say, well, no, I don't go there because they don't race there anymore. But in the past, yeah. But I want to be accommodating as much as we can. But you got to be you got to kind of have a fair process with it. But I don't mind somebody coming in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon before you open the gate and put it up there and then wandering down or something. But that's all right.
Now you realize Howdy just said, well, we're not going then.
Yeah.
And he's a Hall of Famer.
Well, he is a Hall of Famer. But, we don't sell reserve seats. And I've noticed most short tracks have probably gotten away from that a little bit more. But I think there are plenty of seats. I'll tell you what, if it comes down to me running out of seats with 2,245 seats there, then I'm a happy camper. I'll let you sit in the pace car if you want. I don't care.
You heard that.
Yeah.
I might show up and take you up on it.
There you go. Yeah.
I could be 2,243, and there's no place. Sit in a pace car.
Yeah. But the one thing, I will be out there. I'll talk to the fans. I don't hide in an office and stuff, so I'll listen. That's how you learn to get better. I mean, nobody likes to get complain to about something, but I always looked at it as constructive criticism and listen to what they're saying. If it makes sense, then try to make adjustments to accommodate things. But I ran the largest sports and entertainment facility in New England at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and we had 100,000 people, and part of it was staying in tune. I used to go out to the campgrounds and visit, and on Friday I'd try to visit every campground during the course of the week, and that was the feedback you got. That's your surveying.
Now I recognize you. You had a helmet on and a mask. That was you.
Milo the Moose. So I think you just we'll make it work, but there's a balance there. I mean, everybody. I love doing promotions with radio stations, and you give them tickets to give away, which we brought some to give away here for you guys later. And they're used to concerts, and so Charlotte, I used to get the crappy seats down rows 1, 2, or 3, and I'd give them to the promotions person at a radio station, and they were so excited. They're like, "Oh, row 1," and they think it's like a concert, and they would take them. And I said, "You might want to let your guest maybe wear some goggles or something down there," but they took them. They were happy, and then come back. But yeah, you really want to be on row 51. So. See, that's just good. That's valuable real estate in the upper bleachers there, I guess.
Do you, Bob, do you go down and talk to the fans? Because to me, now I will compliment you if I think you did. Now, that's just my opinion, what I think you did. So I think it's wrong, because I send emails out to IndyCar, the president and CEO and everybody. When I see something good, I'll tell them. But if I see something I question, I'll tell them that. So they answer me because I'm not all negative. I mean, there's positives to everything. Do you go out and talk to the fans?
I think I'm very, very interactive with the fans and the teams both. Sometimes I think maybe too much. I make around just about everywhere around the facility, whether it be in the pits and thank the drivers for coming, in the grandstands, and normally if I can, if time allows and the duties allow, I'll try to greet them when they're leaving the facility also. And so I hear a lot. We have a very open door policy with phone calls and emails. We invite people to, and they do quite often, call, send letters, send emails of criticisms and positives. So we hear both. And again, with all the events I do, it's getting to be more and more that we have a lot of repeat customers in different states and different venues, and we're proud of that. And again, we just welcome a really open door policy.
Yeah, I think since the Silver Crown Series has come back and is coming back quite strongly, that I'm sure you're getting people, because I know from here a lot of them go to Du Quoin and Springfield, and I got to think you get them from Wisconsin and Iowa as well, because that's pretty good racing country.
We get a tremendous amount. I was surprised when we did this open autograph session at Terre Haute, the last race of the year, how many people came up and thanked me for the whatever we were doing, and they were from Wisconsin. They drove all the way to Terre Haute. So that's great news that we have that much interest going on in the 4 or 5 state Midwest.
And I think to me it's important to have the drivers out. Let the fans meet them, know they're real people. And what's neat is, and I saw it in IndyCar quite a bit, but their autograph session, a fan will come and a driver recognize them. Well, now they got it, they're hooked. And if you guys do that and they interact with the fans and they see them somewhere else and recognize, that's fabulous. And you've got them hooked, you got them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, again, it's good to interact, but it is. You'd be surprised at the younger generation that likes that too. The kids, whether they get to see a driver and that's their new hero. We all talk about the heroes of past, whether it be AJ or Mary, all that. We're trying to build the heroes of today also, so that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, my friend over there, Dick Jordan, has brought one that's going to be an up-and-coming hero. We'll talk to him next, but it's interesting to me what goes in. People don't realize how much work it is to promote a race. I mean, there's all kinds of things going to get people in the seats.
I was going to tell him his folder that's that thick will probably be twice that by next year. So,
yeah, well, we look forward to the season starting. I don't know, when is your first event, Bob?
My first event is Nashville, April 7th with the ARCA cars, and then we start full weekly. And our first event at Terre Haute is April 29th with the Silver Crown. And then back to the Hoosier 100 for the week of Indy, we call it. Terre Haute Wednesday, Hoosier 100 Thursday, and Lucas Oil Raceway on Friday of Indy 500 week.
Can you keep Tom Johnson awake to go to these events? Can he stay awake that long?
We'll put him in the pace car, so if you see the Corvette getting a little problem out there, you'll know it's Tom.
I want to welcome you back to the racing area here, and I think, I've heard a lot over the years about Gas City, and I have a feeling with your 25 years working with Bruton Smith, because he didn't like empty seats.
No, he wasn't a fan of it. He always reminded me we were a for-profit company when I worked for him. But the feedback's been really good. We've just relaunched a new website, GasCityI69Speedway.com. I encourage people to go online, check that out. We've got a great guy named Jacob Quick that's on board with us, and he set up all the social media with the things that I'm not so good with, and probably you as well. But with the Twitter and the Facebook and everything, so we're trying to make it as easy to connect with the fans and go back and forth and talk. But my big thing is, please come out and sample the product at Gas City I-69 Speedway this year. I think you're going to find it a great environment. I think you're going to find it really fun. And then if people can just pray for great weather, it's going to make me look a lot smarter.
You're right. And that's the problem. You got a date set and you got everything going, and Mother Nature says, "Watch this."
Yeah.
And it hurts. Is your schedule such if somebody rains out, you can reschedule, or is it lost?
I've got some open dates towards the end of the year. I'm conscious of being a Friday night with Friday night football and stuff, so we could possibly put something. We could maybe capture one or two of them, but they never do as well on a rain day. Bob can tell you that. If you miss the original date, you're struggling a little bit.
Have you got open dates where you can run?
We do. We struggle with rain dates because of everybody else's schedule. We had trouble with the Hoosier 100 last year, tried to reschedule it. This year we're going to announce a rain date before the event. So we do try to reschedule the majority of our events if the schedules of everyone allow. That's something that some people didn't understand. Not only do we have to check the facility schedule, we have to check the USAC schedule and things like that, and respect other tracks around us, other premier events. So it's a very difficult thing to reschedule an event.
Well, I'm going to make a suggestion. Don't get in his way. He's bigger than both of us.
No, I'm all for Jerry. I hope he does a great job.
I'm just a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, if we come to your track, we won't go home with splinters, will we?
No.
Okay.
No. You'll be on your feet from the excitement of people like Justin Grant running around there. So you'll buy the seat, but you won't use it.
Well, I want to thank both of you for coming. I know it's difficult for you to get. You come from Illinois, which I appreciate you coming all the way over here, and we'll get those tickets to the people that I know will show up. So I appreciate that. And Jerry, good luck to you. And from time to time, we may bring you in and see how you're doing.
Well, I would love that, and I appreciate you having me on, and I'll be glad to come and give some updates. And we'd love to have you come out and check it out. Bring your blanket. You can mark off your seat and enjoy it.
The guy that was complaining about that, he's bigger than I am.
Okay.
Same. I thank you very much. I'll come in over anytime. Also, I love to interact with the fans and take questions or anything you want.
What's your website where people can look you up?
Just look up trackenterprises.com, and that'll get you to the other 6 or 8 websites we have. But the main one's trackenterprises.com. We have one, Hoosier100.com, Terre Haute, on just about all of them. But if you just go to trackenterprises.com or call our secretary in the office, we'll give you the right information and send you in the right direction.
What's your website address again?
It's GasCityI69Speedway.com.
Jeez, I'll fall asleep before I get done typing that.
Well, I mess up the letters sometimes. Yeah. I have the fat fingers.
Well, thanks both of you for coming. Enjoyed it, and we look forward to a good racing season.
Yeah, thank you, and hope to see all of you out here. What a great turnout for you, Don, to do this show here, and I give a hand to the fans that come out and support the guest and Don's show. So look forward to seeing you at the track, both Bob's place or mine. Doesn't matter.
I got news for you. They don't come to see me. They come to see you guys.
Yeah, I thought maybe the alcohol had something to do with it.
Fluffy, but Bill says not more. She's mine now, so you can't watch.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob Sargent and Jerry Gappens. My next guest is here on his way, and while he's on his way, I will remind you that Sam Pierce Chevrolet in Daleville, Indiana, you got to go to the country to see why the best prices are, in fact, in the country at Sam Pierce Chevrolet. And you'll also find out when you buy a car from him, he doesn't stand behind you, he stands alongside you, and you'll see why he's always rated at the top of customer satisfaction. Take I-69 north to exit 34, go east 1 mile, and you won't miss him. Are you interested in taking a 2-seater ride to see what these IndyCar drivers love about the sport? Go to IndyRacingExperience.com and look up a date that works for you, or you can call the office at 317-243-7171. And if you book online, in the promo box, put SJ1. You get a 50% discount. Or when you talk to Shonda, tell her and she'll give it to you as well. That's IndyRacingExperience.com, 317-243-7171. And if you're a vintage car fan, you've got to go to svra.com and subscribe to the Vintage Racing Quarterly. Some of the cars that you have seen in earlier days are back out running, and they're looking as good as ever. Like they look like new. So go to svra.com and subscribe to the Vintage Racing Quarterly. And if you are looking for insurance for your home, your car, your commercial property, call Mike Pardee at VP Insurance. You might be surprised he give you better coverage for less money. That's what he did for me, and a lot of people that went down and said, by golly, you're right. So Mike is located at 5004 West 16th Street in the beautiful town of Speedway. It's VP Insurance. The number is 317-248-0070. That's VP Insurance, Mike Pardee, 317-248-0070. My next guest is a young man that I'm surprised he's here tonight. He's heartbroken. He's had a phenomenal career starting his career, and he came back from Las Vegas, won the Friday night race, won the Saturday night race. They inspected the engine and went, uh-oh. So he went from first to 24th. But the interesting part is he had an older engine than the guys that he beat, so I think the competition better be careful. He's an outstanding young man, outstanding driver. His career is going extremely well. Please welcome Mr. Justin Grant. What, pray tell, got you into racing?
Well, my dad was a race fan. Nobody in my family really raced at all, but he watched watch NASCAR on TV every Sunday. Watch NASCAR on TV every Sunday. Yeah,
that's something I don't know anything about.
Yeah, and he would go to the local dirt track at Placerville and Chico out in California, and he'd take me along, and I was kind of just ate up with it from the very beginning.
And when you said you wanted to go racing, what did you start out? Did you start out in karts?
Started out in quarter midgets.
Quarter midgets,
yep.
All right.
Yep, and they were fairly resistant to the idea, but I pestered them long enough and hard enough that they finally gave in.
You have had an outstanding career, actually. You've done very, very well, and you run USAC midgets and sprint cars, do you not?
Yeah, as well as the Silver Crown Series.
So we were just talking about the Silver Crown. I was about to approach it. Of the three national series that USAC runs, which is your favorite? Which one do you like the best, or don't you care?
It doesn't matter to me. I like all three of them. Really depends on the racetrack and where we're going. I love Silver Crown cars on miles. They're incredible. There's nothing quite like it. And running sprint cars on half miles is a blast, and midgets at little tracks is a ton of fun. So when they're in the environment they're suited for, they're all three a blast.
You drive for Clausen Marshall Racing in 17. You've been to the Chili Bowl. You did fairly well there. I think, was it last? I don't know what you did this year. I can't remember, but you did pretty good last year.
Yeah. Last year went well. It was kind of a last-minute deal. Came together during Chili Bowl week. Went down there and had some success.
Do you have a track you prefer? Is there one that suits your driving style? You think driving style. You get in the car, you start, you turn left. What the hell is a driving style? There is a lot to it. Is there a track that suits you better than one other one, or two tracks that you feel comfortable? You won all over, so.
Typically, I feel more at home on the bigger tracks. Half miles, stuff like that. For whatever reason, seems to suit me better.
Because you like to go fast.
I guess so, yeah.
Do you like the fast cars on the dirt as opposed to asphalt?
Most of the time I do, yeah. I think mostly I'm more comfortable on the dirt than I am on the asphalt. I haven't done as much of the asphalt, but this past year when we went to Phoenix with the pavement Silver Crown cars, I had a great time out there, and really looking forward to doing that again.
Well, the Copper World Classic used to be huge. I mean, they ran for many years, and then when the Indy Racing League started, they ran together, and they used to pack the place. And then when some genius said, "Let's move the IndyCar race," everything went poof.
Yeah, I used to race quarter midgets behind turn 4 there, behind the grandstands when I was a little kid, and we'd go watch. And yep.
I have been told that there's a good possibility that the Speedway is going to build a dirt track and run sprint cars. I'm not sure where, because I was afraid to ask where it's going to be, but I was told that's something of interest. I don't know what's going on during the day or whenever it'd have to be during the day, but that would be an interesting place to run a race, I would think.
Yeah, it would be exciting to be able to run there and at that facility. Obviously it'd be more exciting to run on the big track there, but if they build a dirt track, we'll be there.
Have you got in the back of your mind that you want to get to IndyCar? Is that something you set a goal, or you want to go down to whatever that other thing is?
Yeah, I mean, I would obviously love to run at Indy and run an IndyCar, and it's definitely a goal of mine. Right now trying to just win races and hopefully accomplish it that way.
Has anybody ever contacted you about looking at the Mazda Road to Indy program?
No, haven't really talked a whole lot to anybody very seriously about any of it.
Well, unfortunately for you, I'm going to St. Petersburg. I don't know if you heard the rumor or not, but they're all running down there. And I have an appointment with Dan Anderson, who's the head guy of that. I'm going to mention that to him. That they ought to somebody ought to take a look at you. I don't know why not. I mean, let's face it. Some kid by the name of Foyt came out of the dirt tracks and he won. Yeah.
Thank you.
Some guy from the name of Andretti, he did fairly well coming out of dirt. Tom Sneva did. I mean, there's a lot of guys, Gordy Johncock, that's all how they came years ago. They don't do it anymore. They come with a briefcase and a sandwich in there and money. But it's starting to change. I think a lot of drivers are getting rides. They're not bringing money. The money is now starting to show up. So who knows? You might make it. I think you should be there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's what racing's about, is the young talent and develop the talent. And IndyCar's got some good young guys that are coming out of the Mazda Road to Indy Pro. I think last year's starting field at the 500 had like 22 or something that come through that. So you got to be there. Come on. I know. Come on. I know somebody who's got the money to do it. She's right there. Talk to her. She'll take care of it. Fluffy. She'll take care of it. When you first started, and your parents gave you a little bit of an argument, you got to go to college, you got to do all this kind of thing, but you won out. How'd that happen? Yeah,
well, by the time college got there, they were pretty convinced that this is what I was doing. There wasn't too much argument there. But no, when I turned 18, I moved. Told them I was moving to Indy, and I went to work for Jeff Walker, and they were pretty supportive of it, and here I am.
Yeah, but they didn't have to feed you. Your mother didn't have to do your laundry, didn't have to clean your room. And you're from a real whiz-bang town. Was it Lone, California? Where in heaven's name is that?
Yeah, it's Ione, California.
Ione, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's nowhere really.
Good, nowhere.
It's a tiny town. I think population's like I'd say 1,500 maybe.
Wow.
It's in the foothills, kind of going towards. It's a gold country. There's Sutter's Creek, Sutter's Mill.
Oh, really?
All that. Yep.
So instead of mining gold, you're out here trying to make gold.
Yeah.
How different is it from? I assume you raced in California before you came here. Of course, when you turned 18, you said adios. Did anybody pack the bag and say, "Oh, you're leaving"? Really? Do they come to watch your race at all?
Yeah. They make it back as often as they can. They've got they're busy working.
Oh yeah, a town of 1,500, sure.
Yeah. Well, my parents, anyways, they're busy and they make it back as often as they can.
Does anybody out there still mine?
I don't know how much mining is still going on. I don't think there's much of any.
What? What are you looking at me? I don't know. I don't even know where the town is. Who knows? There could be people mining somewhere. Could be. Did you run go-karts at any point?
I ran the winged outlaw carts that they run in Northern California. I ran those for 2 or 3 years out there.
Did you find that sitting in those cars and driving those, the guys that ran the non-wing ones always told me that they really learned how to feel a car. So when they got into a midget or sprint car, that helped them settle into driving those cars. Did you find it?
Yeah, definitely. Especially the outlaw kart stuff. They're a 500cc 2-stroke, so they make around 100 horsepower, and they only weigh, I think, a little over 300 pounds. So they're the wheelbase is about the length of your leg, so they're an absolute handful. So when you go to a midget or a sprint car, it reacts slower than what those did.
Oh, imagine. Who are you driving? Now, you're driving in all 3 series, so are you driving for the same team on all 3, or have you got 3 different teams you drive for?
I got 3 different teams. On the Silver Crown stuff, I'm with Himmelgarn, with Ron Himmelgarn.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he is.
Oh,
I hope so. I'm planning on driving for him this year.
Haven't seen him in a while. He's busy with his athletic business.
Yeah. And
worldwide, I might add.
Yeah, and then the sprint car stuff, I'm driving for Top Motorsports out of Rochester. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Rochester?
Yep.
Rochester?
Indiana.
Oh.
Yeah.
Say, geez, come from New York.
Yeah.
And your midget?
And then the midget, kind of up in the air on that. I think right now I'm looking at a part-time schedule with Clausen Marshall with possibility of full-time.
You know, I'm surprised. Brian, of course, was a great guy and a heck of a driver. That his dad is stuck in the sport and carried on. They've done fairly well.
Yeah, they've done real well, and it's pretty impressive the way they've carried on.
Where would you like? Is there a track you haven't been to that you'd like to run?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Okay, think about it. We'll take a break.
We get it. Okay. Cut to commercial.
How is it to run? I've talked to a lot of guys about this, and a couple of them had hit the fence in turn 3, so they weren't all that impressed. But how do you like Terre Haute?
I love Terre Haute. I've not had a ton of success there in the past, but it's definitely a challenging place, and I've eaten my fair share of concrete there as well. But it's challenging, and it's a neat place to go and a neat environment, and somewhere that I really want to do well at.
This is kind of off the subject a little bit, but I have a friend who's in the American Motorsports Hall of Fame by the name of Bill Simpson. And when Dave Steele lost his life, he just went on a rampage and wanted put on the left side of the car so you can't, if you spin, your head doesn't fly out of the car, as what's happened to Dave. Has that happened in the cars you're driving in the series?
I know this year going forward they've mandated more of a full containment seat. So the idea is that that'll kind of contain a guy more. In USAC we've had to run head nets for as long as I've been back here. So the head net kind of serves that purpose as well.
I mean, let's face it, motorsports is a dangerous sport to begin with, but you try and make it a little safer just in case. By the way, I've been neglecting mentioning this. One of the stars of motorsports broadcasting has been by here the last 3 or 4 weeks. Fortunately, he brought his wife with him, so I noticed him. But the man they call Dirt Track Danny is here. He's been here for 3 or 4 weeks. And getting ready to pack a motorhome. He's made so much money broadcasting, they bought a motorhome, and they're going on a trip for about 6 months. He's got to buy new socks and shirts and things, but they're going to go. And I want to welcome, and Mary as well. So I want to welcome Dirt Track Danny Williams. I suppose I should ask him sometime, why do they call you Dirt Track? But I think it's rather obvious, to me anyway. What do you do in between? Have you got a job? I mean, where you go to work, actually?
I don't. I don't clock in. Actually I got my first W-2 this year, and it was from my LLC. So so that was, I don't know if that was an accomplishment or not, but I kind of liked it. No, I ran. I think I ran 105 races last year, not counting ones that I drove to and got canceled. So it keeps you pretty busy, and then we're my family and I bought a house and moved in and remodeling it, and then the plan is to sell it. So stay fairly busy between racing and doing that.
So you can do carpentry work?
Well, a little bit, yeah.
Oh.
Enough to get myself in trouble.
Oh. I'll have to get Dick's on the phone, but I'll have to get your phone number from him in case I need some.
Yeah.
I know that. That's what I said. Do you work out?
Yeah, I do.
Pit Fit or something?
Yep. Go to Pit Fit.
Jim goes up and beats you to death?
Yep, yeah. Jim tries to make me puke every day.
Something I noticed one day when I was up there, I wandered around, was talking to Jim, and I started looking at the plaques on the board, and most all of the record accomplishments are all some kid, what's his name, Scott Dixon. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. No wonder he can win. Good grief, he's in shape. How important is it for a race driver to be in physical shape? Because you only run 25 laps or 50 laps or 100 in Silver Crown. But how important is the physical fitness part of it?
I think it's real important. More from the mental side of it. The lower your heart rate, the better your mind works, and if your heart's getting jacked up in the race car, you're not making as good of decisions, and better decisions you make, the better you run. So I think it's definitely important. And over the last couple of years, as I've kind of transitioned from taking care of the teams that I was driving for and working on cars during the week to now where I'm driving more for teams that have full-time guys and crew chiefs and guys in the shop every day. I've started taking my fitness program a little more seriously, and I figure it's probably the least I can do for those guys to make sure I'm at the top of my game.
I have found in my 60-some years of following motorsports, starting with Andy Granatelli at Soldier Field many years ago, that to have a driver that's capable of winning, the crew doesn't mind working. I mean, they'll put the extra time in, and obviously, from your record, you've shown you can do that. You have been winning rather steadily, and I suspect there's a couple of trophies that will be coming your way at the USAC banquet in the not too distant future. But it's got to be nice to be able to know that most anywhere you go, first off, you'll have a car that can win, and you have the capability to take it there. So that's got to be kind of fun every weekend instead of going, crap, I want it's going to break this time. You don't have that problem.
Yeah, it's it's quite an honor to be in that situation and to be surrounded by people that I don't second guess at all. I strap in the race car and I know things are going to be tight and right, and we're going to go out and try and win a race, and I don't have to worry about any of the other stuff.
Do you understand the handling of a car so you can come in and tell your crew, here's what it's doing, and we maybe need to put air in or adjust the suspension or something? Are you able to do that?
Yeah, I feel like I am most of the time. Sometimes my crews might disagree with that, but for all the way up until last couple years, I was kind of crew chief myself and worked with teams to where I was a lot more hands-on and more in charge of setup, and I've obviously had more success in the last 2 years when I wasn't as hands-on, but it's a bit hard to do both. But I feel like I have a pretty decent understanding.
Well, in my opinion, over the years I've been around, the drivers that I feel were the most successful had worked on cars on their way up. Some of them even built them. So when they got to the Indy cars and into Pro Mazda and then move on to IndyCar, you understand the car and you can talk to an engineer and you're on the same page with them. To me that has made a lot of difference in a lot of guys that came through the short tracks and worked their way up because they understood the car and could talk to an engineer and get it fixed. So keep going. Get your hands dirty. The heck, you got soap in your house, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the next race for you now? As I said, you went to Vegas, you won both nights, and they took it away from you. But that's not going to deter you. Of course, it doesn't help in your points when you're 24th twice. You don't get many. How many points do you get for 24th?
I don't know. Not near as many as you do for first.
I've heard
that was a West Coast USAC race, so it doesn't have any bearing on our national point series. So that's good.
Oh, but you didn't get to go to the payout window.
I did not.
Or did you and you had to send it back?
No, that would have been worse. No, they, we didn't get paid for it, obviously, but the car owner Bill Michael that I was driving for was very stand up about it, and he went ahead and paid me the percentage that I would have made had we gotten paid, which was awesome of him, and I certainly appreciate it.
Well, geez, that's got to tell people what you bring to the table. You're not just some schmutz. They know you can. That's great. I think that speaks well for you. I am going to mention something to Dan Anderson about having somebody take a look at you, see if they're in somewhere in the Mazda Road to Indy program you might fit in, if you've got the time. I mean, 102 races, you might have to squeeze a little.
Yeah, I can squeeze a little. I'm a little guy.
The tracks that you run, I think, are some of the best in the country. I think racing here in the Midwest, because a lot of guys, Jay Drake came from California, a lot of guys have come here to run because of the quality of competition and the facilities where you run. Did you ever think, geez, if I'd have stayed in California, I could have done whatever it is, run this with the other outfits? Or is this the place to be if you want to be successful?
No, this is the place to be for sure. I mean, the amount of racetracks and good racetracks that are in Indiana, and the amount of competition here is really high. California has some good racers, but if you're a good racer, a bad night for you in California is you run 4th or 5th. If you are off in Indiana, you're going to miss a show or run 15th. So you've got to be on your game here, and when you when you travel, you can really see it. It's tough racing here for sure, but there's nowhere else quite like it.
You go out and run the turkey night?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I tell you, there's something about this sport of racing. When you think about it for a driver, you think, wow, you drive a race car, whoopee. And as James Hinchcliffe said when he was on Dancing with the Stars, he's got to go back to work. He sits down to work, which was kind of an interesting way of looking at it, but it's true. Do you get excited every day? There's a race today, and you're ready to go. You're jacked to get in the car and go. I mean, do you get pumped up, or have you done it so long that it's another night, let's go race?
I mean, you almost have to, running 100+ races, it does wear on you a bit by the end of the summer, and you've got to kind of force yourself or make sure that you're pumped up to go to the racetrack, because when you're not pumped up to go to the racetrack, you don't run as well. At least I don't. So kind of got to make sure you're still excited to be there and want to be there, and make sure you're doing it for the love of doing it, and not just because it's your job.
You've in 2010 you were the USAC National Sprint Car Rookie of the Year. That's pretty interesting, because you weren't that old. What were you, 9, 10?
Yeah, I think I would have been was it 19?
Jeez. I got shoes that are 19 years old and I wear them. How bad things are. There's something to me about motorsports that it's exciting. It's not only the smell and the sound, but the closest, particularly of short track racing, where you do bump and grind a little bit, and if somebody doesn't get out of your way, you give them a little nudge, you let them know you're there and want to get by. It's kind of fun to watch. And I used to go to Blue Island and Santa Fe and watch them on the dirt, and it's always fun, and I'm still watching on the dirt, still enjoying it, although I do like asphalt racing, pavement racing, of course. But your season's about to get underway. Unfortunate for you that you lost 2 wins, but you'll survive, won't you?
Yeah, we'll be all right.
Okay, and they got what was the issue? It was something to do with an engine. They changed the rules, and your people misread what it said. Yeah,
I'm not completely sure on all the specifics, but I know there was an issue with the heads, and at the time they built the motor quite a while ago, those heads were legal. Well, then the rules changed, and they weren't aware of that, and the sanctioning body hadn't really noticed that those heads weren't legal anymore. And so after the races were over, a few days later, it was, I guess, brought to their attention, and so they went ahead and pulled the wins back.
Well, that doesn't make sense. The sanctioning body didn't realize it, and they didn't tell anybody. That doesn't make sense. Why would they penalize you? That's not your fault if your guys didn't know it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the way the rules read, it was illegal. So illegal's illegal. No matter how you get there, I guess. But it was kind of just an unfortunate situation for everybody involved, and just a bit of missed opportunity on making things right throughout the deal.
Well, I'm sure that won't happen to you again. Somebody will sit down if they have to bring somebody in that can read well, make sure everything's up to snuff. I appreciate you coming. I know I get the USAC results, and I see your name up there all the time, so obviously you're doing something right, and your team is obviously doing what you need to win, so it's a win-win for everybody. good luck for this coming season. Hopefully you'll pick up 1 or 2 trophies at the USAC banquet.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and that's the goal. And thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. It's fun. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to take a couple of trips where you're running and watch this year, either with Bob or with Jerry, and see what's going on. But good luck to you, and thanks for stopping.
Awesome. Thank you.
Justin Grant. Thanks for coming. And I also want to mention several of you from here have probably heard of the monthly breakfasts that are held at Dawson's, and the guy who is the driving force behind it, simply because, well, he's talking to Charlie, so I'll wait until they're done talking, that he is driven to almost to where his hair is starting to fall out, Bob Beisel, who is the organizer of the breakfast here. I want to welcome Bob. And if you want to go to find out what his breakfasts are, go talk to him. I've tried to get him to come in here and talk about it, but he's bashful. So next week, my first scheduled guest will be the Viking Anders Krohn. If you listen to the IMS radio network, you'll hear him on the air, and he's gotten really good as a broadcaster and a driver analyst. And there'll be another one, but I'll be in Florida. I don't get back until Tuesday, but I'm taking my computer when I get a guest lined up. It will be at autosportradio.com. Just click on the Autosport Radio tab, and you'll see who the guests are. Until next week, Don Kay saying thanks for being here. Thanks for watching, listening. See you next week. Good night.